Hello, this is Laura Rogers with the League of Women Voters of Portland, and you are watching the Video Voters Guide or listening to our podcast. We are here today to talk with candidates running in the May 19, 2026 primary election. We are grateful for the support of the Carol and Velma Sailing Foundation, the Weiss Foundation, the Sarah Fruing Foundation, members of the League of Women Voters of Portland, and our media partner, Metro East Community Media. With me is John Chee, running for the office of State Senator District 17. Welcome, Mr. Chee.
Thank you, Laura.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you were running for this office.
Thank you, Laura. I'm John Chee. I'm running for state senator for District 17. I grew up here in the Bethany area. I live in the home that I was born in. My district, I will be representing, if I get your vote, from Bethany all the way to Northwest Portland, including Cedar Mill, Bonnie Slope, areas around that. Washington, mostly northeast Washington County. So I was born here. I went to Westview High School. I went to Portland Community College, Rock Creek, and other areas in Portland. I spent my time from 2010 to 2024. I had a career in software engineering in the San Francisco Bay Area. And around 2016, I got really interested in conservative politics. I feel like there's a movement happening, and I think there is change possible. I got involved with the pro-life movement down there in Silicon Valley. Got really passionate about supporting fathers and men who find themselves in a situation where there may be an unplanned pregnancy or unplanned consequences for sexual activity. So I really came back here and got involved in local politics. And I really want to support these young men in our area. And this is why I'm running.
Do you support the elimination or modification of the Oregon kicker? Why or why not?
So I consider myself a conservative. I think the Oregon kicker was brought forth to Oregon with a good principle. It's basically the principle of if the state takes too much of your money, then you should get some of that money back. I support that in principle. I do think the Oregon kicker may be somewhat controversial nowadays, but I look at it and I say anytime that the Oregon kicker is invoked, I see this as a problem. This is a problem where your hard-earned taxes have been taken away from you, and now they're in the government coffers. And then all of a sudden, the government, Oregon State, will look at their coffers and be like, "Hey, we have way too much money here. What are we going to do with it?" And the kicker kicks in, and so that money is now distributed back to you as a taxpayer. And I think that's a good thing that it's given back to you. But I also think that there needs to be a deeper introspection for the state, for the government. Why did we take this money from you in the first place? What were we planning to do with it that we're not doing? And maybe we need to look at next year's budget and say, we need to cut out some of the stuff that we're doing so that we, again, don't overtax these people. By the time the money has made it all the way to Salem and back to you, that's a lot of hands that have touched it, and I'm concerned about the inefficiencies there.
What changes, if any, would you support in the state to address the issue of climate change? Please explain.
I think this is an interesting question. I'm probably going to go with the explanation first because I think it will lead to my answer. I think climate change is it's an interesting concern. I don't know that climate change is going to be bad for Oregonians. There may be more rain, which could be great for our crops and for our farms, and it may be good for your local garden in at your house or in your local share community. There may be warmer summers, and this may also be good for crops like grapes or olives or stuff that we could have never grown here in Oregon before. We may see the possibility of being grown. And so I don't know that climate change is by default a bad thing. I think we need to look at what what is changing about the climate, and can we actually make a move? Can we actually move the needle here? I don't know that increasing gas taxes or not allowing things to be built, or even the question of not harvesting timber. We have many natural resources here in Oregon that we should be exploiting, and we should be looking at how can we be good stewards of this land and preserve not only an economy but also a state to pass on to our children. And so that would lead me to basically want to pause and or repeal climate change legislation. Anything that costs Oregonians more, I want to stop that.
Would you support or oppose the creation of a Citizens Independent Redistricting Commission to redraw Oregon State legislative and congressional election districts? Please explain your answer.
Yeah, so for us, independent redistricting commission, I think the reason that this is happening, the reason that people are interested in this, is because they recognize that there's something wrong with our districts. And so rather, for me, I would oppose this. I would not want to move forward with redistricting, but I would want to understand what are the problems that we have, and how can and what are the solutions that we're looking for. I think that we really need to preserve the voices of Oregonians, heritage Oregonians, those who have a legacy that they've been given in Oregon, and those who have a legacy that we expect or that they expect to give to their posterity. So I do want to protect Oregonian voices, but I also think that there has already been a lot of redistricting. And so I'm hesitant to continue for redistricting, thinking that this is going to come to some sort of solution that will actually represent the voices of Oregonians.
You are listening to the Video Voters Guide interview and podcast of John Chee, who is running for the office of State Senator, District 17. What, if any, changes in the state's policies concerning public schools would you support?
Yeah, so for public schools, I was public schooled after third grade or second grade. And I think public schools, definitely, they do provide a service to our citizens. I do think that public schools are, right now, certainly in the Portland city area, there's a problem. You can see that enrollment is dropping, and I think there are problems here. I think as a conservative Christian man, I do think homeschooling is an option, and we need to empower that as much as possible. So I support basically what you may have heard as basically the money follows the child. And so if you're a citizen and you want your son or daughter to go to a private school, I support moving some of that money, ideally all of that money, for your child, moving it out of the public school system and into a private school system. If you want to homeschool, I think this is perhaps the ideal for families. I want that money to go to you, and so that you can provide textbooks, you can provide materials, you can really homeschool your child in a highly funded way. I also support returning public schools more to a classical education. I think classical education will lead to the best results. And so again, I think that our public school funding should be tied to results. I do think that there's a lot of scope creep in the public schools. There's healthcare now in public schools. There's all sorts of anti-American, very, very leftist ideology being taught in schools. And I think we need to get that political ideology out of our schools and get back to like foundational Christian American values that all of our founding fathers were taught and believed in. I would much rather have us be paying for and moving towards something that would be thought of as a classical Christian education in our schools.
Thank you. This concludes our video voters guide and podcast interview of the League of Women Voters of Portland of John Chee, running for State Senator District 17. Election Day is Tuesday, May 19. To find additional election resources, including online identifications of other candidates and ballot measures on which you may be able to vote, please visit the League of Women Voters of Portland's website, lwvpdx.org, and vote411.org, and then exercise your right to vote. Ballots will be mailed starting on April 30th. For your vote to be eligible to be counted, your ballot must be received by Multnomah County Elections Division on or in one of the designated drop boxes in Multnomah County no later than 8 p.m. on Election Day. We strongly recommend that if you are depositing your ballot in the U.S. Postal Service, you do so no later than Tuesday, May 12th, 1 week before Election Day. Your voice and your vote matter. Thank you for your interest.